Over the years, many people have visited hotels to only realize down the line that it was allegedly haunted. Although the large majority of people don't experience anything in these buildings, some do come forward with their encounters. One location that's been at the center of such stories is that of the Marshall House Hotel in Savannah. Savannah is the oldest city in the state of Georgia. It's known for being one of the original 13 colonies in Georgia. For years now, this old city has been the subject of discussion for many horror enthusiasts who claim that various places in this city are home to the supernatural. Savannah is home to a lot of historical districts and buildings, and many of these buildings have been subjected to investigations. One of the most controversial buildings in Savannah is the Marshall House Hotel. This hotel has been the topic of many stories and rumors. The Marshall House Hotel, which is situated at Broughton Street, is one of the oldest hotels in Savannah and one of the most popular as well. Despite the Marshall House being an old historical hotel, it still has some of its original features, and this includes things like the staircase and brickwork. Marshall House was never built to be a house in the early days of its construction. In fact, it was built around the idea of being a hotel. Mary Marshall inherited the land from her father and decided to build the hotel in the 1850s. This place is regarded by many researchers as one of the most impressive houses for its time. The house wasn't rushed, and a lot of effort was put into the project, and this shows to this day as it's considered an impressive piece by historians. During the Civil War in 1864 to 1865, the Marshall House served as a hospital for Civil War soldiers. It was occupied by Union troops led by General William Tecumseh Sherman. The hotel was restored in the 1990s, and while doing this, workers found some damaged floorboards. When lifting them up, they discovered human remains. The area became a crime scene, but it was soon discovered that the lower floor had been the hospital's operating room, which led historians to believe that the bones discovered came from the amputated limbs of soldiers from the Civil War. The building was also used as a hospital during the yellow fever epidemics of the 19th century, and this has caused horror enthusiasts to believe that ghosts have been roaming the 165-year-old structure ever since. In recent times, some guests who stayed at the hotel claimed to have heard noises of children playing and running through the halls late at night, as well as seeing various objects move across the room. There have also been reports of lights flickering on their own, electronic objects that seem to power themselves on and off, and apparitions that seem to vanish when you look at them. The bathrooms are also said to suddenly overflow for no apparent reason, and strange voices could be overheard coming from empty rooms. On the 4th floor, loud noises are known to occur in the early hours of the morning, such as the loud clattering from a heavy object or metals falling on the ground. When people have gone to investigate what made the sounds, nothing could be found. Also, the knobs on the doors of the rooms on this floor tend to move as if someone were trying to enter the rooms. There have also been stories of a ghostly woman who is said to hunt the ladies' restrooms. These strange tales and experiences have only increased the controversies and rumors about the Marshall House Hotel, and it begs the question of whether this historical hotel is haunted or not. Another mysterious hotel is that of the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. The Stanley Hotel is widely considered as one of the most haunted hotels in America. The hotel is known to have inspired Stephen King's third and arguably most popular novel, The Shining. One winter night in Colorado's Rocky Mountains, Stephen King and his family drove down the winding roads to Estes Park. They came across the Stanley Hotel while trying to escape the cold weather. Due to its inability to provide adequate heating for the winter, the hotel was only a day away from closing for the season. Stephen King and his family still decided to stay at the hotel for the night. They were the only guests, and the hotel had limited staff. It was the hotel's emptiness and paranormal history that inspired Stephen King to coin his masterpiece and write his popular novel. The popularity of this novel, as well as the paranormal history of the last century, created a great tourist industry for the Stanley Hotel. It's safe to say that the Stanley Hotel might not have stood the test of time if not for the recognition it gained from Stephen's popular novel and Stanley Kubrick's film adaptation of the novel. Although the hotel got fame from these works, people have said that it's always had a mysterious background. Back in 1909, Freelan Oscar Stanley built the infamous Stanley Hotel, which led to a century of mysteries and disturbing events. Only 2 years after the opening of the hotel, Mrs. Elizabeth Wilson, a housekeeper during that time, was taking care of the rooms when a thunderstorm hit the mountains of Estes Park, which wiped out all the power supply at the Stanley Hotel. The housekeepers moved from one room to another with lit candles to light the gas lamps. Mrs. Wilson approached the now famous room known as Room 217. As she made her way into the room, the gas connected to the flame of the candle ignited into a fiery eruption. This sent Elizabeth falling through the floor into the McGregor dining room. Despite the severity of the explosion, the housekeeper survived and suffered only 2 broken ankles. Although Elizabeth survived her injuries in 1911, it's reports by many who have stayed at the hotel that her ghost now resides in the building. This is after many have come forward and reported seeing her apparition. It's said that when a single couple visits the room, Elizabeth will climb the bed between them throughout the night. Despite years of work at the hotel and records of the explosion and hospital records, a photo of Mrs. Elizabeth Wilson cannot be found. The Stanley Hotel was originally built to accommodate travellers, city people, and provide cars and servants to all its visitors. Today, some of their spirits are said to still be alive inside the building. Guests have claimed to hear the sounds of piano music, which is impossible to track, and laughter can be heard echoing throughout the hotel. But again, when people try to track down where it's coming from, they can never find a source. Another haunted building is that of the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida. St. Augustine is one of the oldest cities in the United States. The St. Augustine Lighthouse that rises at the end of Anastasia Island in St. Augustine was built in 1874 and was one of a long series of lighthouses that have served the city since Francis Drake raided the village in 1586. St. Augustine has become a National Historic Site, attracting thousands of visitors every year. But visitors don't just come for the historical features. St. Augustine's years of service have left the lighthouse with many ghosts and paranormal events, which led Jason Hawes of Ghost Hunters to dub the lighthouse the Mona Lisa of the paranormal sites. An English student at the University of North Florida said the stories they tell are of a historical nature, so they interest visitors who want to know the past and those who focus on horror events. Although not a ghost hunter himself, the student said he saw many strange things in the lighthouse during his visit. He said he saw a dark figure in the tower, a hand that entered through the tower door, and that the furniture moved by itself. He said that something had ripped his hair from his arm in the basement of the janitor's room. He also claimed that something also grabbed him by the ankle while he was walking. Other people who visited the lighthouse claimed to have seen a girl dressed in vintage clothes looking from the lighthouse door or standing near a window upstairs. In 2009, a cell tower technician took a picture of his colleague with a lighthouse in the background. However, upon viewing the image, he could see a girl with a long dress and long hair standing alone and staring out on the upper observation deck. It's not known who the individual is, but many who have visited the lighthouse have said that they've seen her, and have further claimed that she is behind the many mysterious encounters that happen in this building. Another tourist said that while visiting the lighthouse, they could hear faint laughter coming from one of the rooms. However, when the group entered the room, there was no one inside. Interestingly, when the group entered the room, they remarked on how cold it was. It had been a hot day, but for some reason this room was ice cold. They couldn't explain where the laughter was coming from and why this room had the temperature it did. These and more ominous events have made the St. Augustine Lighthouse a popular tourist site for horror enthusiasts. But what do you make of these mysterious buildings that are allegedly haunted? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.